One self alone exists eternally. It is of the nature of Satchidananda, being, consciousness, bliss. It exists. It ever exists. Indeed, it is existence itself, one without an alternative. It knows. It always knows. Indeed, it is consciousness, supreme knowledge itself. It is the source of happiness, the essence of happiness. Indeed, uncaused, unconditioned bliss itself. Immutability is its nature. It can never undergo any kind of modification. This self is yourself. It is one without a second. Without a second means an absence of duality, freedom from an alternative. It just is as it is for all eternity. Unborn, unformed, imperishable. Self-existent, self-luminous. This is indeed the nature of the self, the only self that there ever is. It is only ignorance that gives rise to the appearance, the mere illusion of a differentiated individuality, the identity of being an ego entity. This supposition, which the Maharshi refers to as the I notion, is the very root, the very seed of ignorance. It is included in all kinds of ignorance. And indeed, the ignorance is only for it. For the true self, the absolute reality of Brahman, has no ignorance, but just is as it is, always. If there is such misidentification, bondage or limitation will appear. And with that, any kind of suffering, which is merely the veiling of the innate happiness, so that if one's being or innermost consciousness is not known as it is, bliss, which is identical with being, is felt to be missing, even though it is actually, in reality, never lost. To put an end to suffering, liberate yourself from bondage. To liberate yourself from bondage, simply free yourself of ignorance, for ignorance alone constitutes the bondage or suffering. What else is ignorance but mere misidentification, the root of which is the idea, the assumption of existing as an individual entity, an embodied being. No one has ever actually seen the differentiated I at any time. If one so much as makes the inquiry profound inquiry, who am I? The naturally egoless nature of the one self, yourself, will be self-evident. Inquire for yourself. Attempt to discern what differentiates you, apparently, as an individual. Existence is self-evident, but existence is without difference, without duality, without birth, without form, and such. What seems to differentiate you? It is not merely the appearance of a body in illusion, for there must already be someone to entertain that perception or that conception. Who is that someone? It cannot be merely the operations of thought or various mental states, for again there must be someone, apparently, who experiences them. Inquire as to who is that someone. Who is it that wakes, dreams, and sleeps? For whom is perception? For whom is conception? For whom is the experience, be it gross or subtle? Put the question to yourself. That you exist is self-evident. The knowledge of existence is innate, for being and consciousness are one and the same thing. That is also bliss. If bliss seems to be missing or knowledge not steady and perfect, if being seems to be as if it were a mystery, inquire. Attempt to discern what distinguishes you as the apparent individual, something distinct from the one eternal, infinite self of the nature of Satchidananda. Who is the individual to make such inquiry? Sri Bhagavan says that the individuality implicit even in the inquiry is burnt up in the process of inquiring, just as a stick used to turn a burning pyre is burnt up in the process of its burning. So then, commence with your existence, for that is where you end. Even the seemingly individualized existence. Inquire into that. Attempt to discern what it is, and its individuality, being entirely unreal, will vanish, leaving only absolute being, absolute existence. Where there is not the possibility of even the least trace of I, there you are. And such is true knowledge, in which reality knows itself.